All right, so we're at the 18th of March, 2025. Good day, everybody. We're going to have a few points to update here regarding Santa Clarita real estate. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about getting rid of that stubborn body fat. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence. Then I'm going to talk about implementation of artificial intelligence if you happen to be a roofer or a contractor or even a local business owner. So we'll get into all that. Right now, as far as the real estate end of it, which is one of my favorite things, what we do is we have Santa Clarita openhouses.com. Currently, we are getting close to 600 active residential real estate listings. But having said that, we do have a higher than normal absorption rate as well. So we're watching as properties are actually starting to sell faster as we get into the middle of March. If you look at the numbers so far this year, February versus January, we're about 1.8 to 1.9% as far as February prices. But looking at that short of a time frame really doesn't give any real estate market justice. It's more important to look at a longer time span, 3, 6, 8 months. But right now we don't have that. If you track back to 2024 numbers, yes, we're up in the neighborhood of 2.1 to 2.2% overall from about mid last year till now. So property prices, yes, they're increasing. I wouldn't lose my mind over it though, because we're also watching interest rates start to lower because there's more confidence in that 10-year bond. That's where the real estate mortgage rates happen to be hinged on. So because that's the case, more confidence in it, part of the economy is driving the interest rates down ever so slightly. We'll watch that continue, hopefully, throughout the rest of this year, even into 2026. Right now, a big buyer concern on the market is, are we going to be pre-approved? And if that's the case, what do those numbers look like? And that's something you definitely want to entertain with your lender. There's many different types of lenders out there. You got mortgage brokers, you got mainline banks, you have the credit unions as well. Some hedge fund companies also, if you're big PMA investors, you have these prime market accounts. Sometimes you can actually borrow money from them at even larger discounts. Now, I will tell you, in the lenders of the world, it seems, and people are going to hate me for this, but it seems mortgage brokers are the most nimble. They can pull on many different sources of money. Credit unions probably the tightest, but they're financing because usually there's not a lot of moving parts in that for origination. I know I've talked to many credit unions and their powers that be. How can they increase their origination business? But sometimes it's easier said than done because they're going to need to expand and open up where they have communication with their lenders off hours, during weekends, during holidays, those sorts of things, because buyers really need that. So if you're a real estate buyer considering getting into the market, you might have questions at 5 p.m. on a Saturday night because I just showed you something wonderful and fantastic. You need to get in touch with your lender to make sure it fits. Then maybe there's extra mellows, maybe there's a higher than normal HOA, maybe there's something else that you didn't expect going in. So you need to vet that with them Saturday night, because the seller might be entertaining offers as they receive them. So you might not be able to wait until Monday at 9 a.m. And even if they can get back with you at that time. As a real estate buyer, lenders, very important. Real estate agents, of course, they're going to have a whole list of people they work with. Most of them are probably fantastic. Just make sure there's some accountability there. And if that lender fails you, that your agent has the intestinal fortitude to stand up for you and fight for you and make sure the lender makes whatever they might have messed up, make it right. All right, so let's talk about on the seller of it right now with the virtual staging, all of these different aspects, artificial intelligence in that world. It really does help get these properties prepared. But I've seen a few properties after looking at them in person, but already having seen them online. It's so misleading. Be careful with that. If you're hiring an agent that's going to make your house, well, not like look like your, once those buyers see it online first, and then they go into your house, and if it's totally dialed in to the nines with wainscoting and tinted windows and maybe even different types of lighting and even a different kitchen, even if you're labeling the pictures, this is what you could do with it. Of course, we can tear it down and build the Taj Mahal. Just make sure your agent isn't advertising like that, because it's a total buyer turnoff. They're going to see it and they're going to say, This isn't even anything close to what we looked at, and they're going to get frustrated. They're not going to even want to move forward with an offer. I know that's the case. Having said that, though, if you're a seller and you have your rooms that aren't originally as they're intended being shown, change it. Change it what they were. If your house says they have 4 bedrooms on title, but you have one of those bedrooms, make it into an office because you work from home or somebody else works from home or the kids do their homework there, whatever it may be, switch it back. I understand it's going to be inconvenient, but you want to get the most for your house, right? Switch that bedroom back to what it originally was intended to be. And that goes the other way. People are going to be able to make that decision if they see an office that is actually on title as an office. That's how it's categorized. If that even is able to be done in particular cases, depends on recording and city and area. But let's say it really was designated as an office because maybe it doesn't have a closet. That is something that you want to still be representative of an office when it's being shown. A buyer's able to come in and say, well, we could this into a bedroom for mom or for grandma or for granddad or whomever. They can do that. But the other way is difficult. If they're looking at a property and it has bedrooms that have been turned into offices, a little bit more difficult for that mind gap to be bridged. So please make sure you have every room as it was intended in the beginning. For you sellers out there, another thing that you can do when it comes to residential real estate, the curb appeal, it's got to pop, folks. You need to make sure that you have your gardener or you yourself go get some nice little shrubs and plants. You want to prepare your home for when it's being shown as if somebody's going to be dating it. So that first date, right? You trim all the hedges, you get everything nice and neat, you get it all super clean, Q-tip clean. That's what buyers need to see when they're coming into your house. For you buyers out there, when you're looking online, there's a lot of systems that aren't actually representative of the true seller. Those are called syndication websites. Be careful with that. You want to use a good local sourced website that has the actual MLS data with no other games involved. And here's a selfish plug, but it's true. I left it unlocked on purpose. Santa Clarita, openhouses.com. That's where you find that. As we get into the rest of this year, we're already halfway through March, well, March 18th. As soon as we get further into this year, we're going to see real estate listings start to increase. Maybe not so much price-wise, but we will see higher numbers. But that buyer drive should also adjust pretty well to be able to absorb those listings, purchase those properties without getting an overabundance of inventory. If that doesn't happen, if the buyer drive really does stop, we're going to see a reduction in prices as we get into second, third, and fourth quarter this year, but we'll have to see if that happens. And it could always go the other way as well. We could have a heightened buyer drive, then we have sellers keeping us in the seller's market, so we can see an increase overall during the next few months in real estate prices. Right now, the numbers that they're throwing out online, it's just not enough time. All right, so let's talk about fat. One of the things that I love about it is how much I developed such a anti-relationship because I was fat and deal with my demons as far as that goes. One of the things that I try to tell people when they're asking me how I torched off that 135 pounds of fat is the best way that I found to do it is through forgiveness. I know that sounds cheesy, especially me being a cop. It sounds like I'm just batting wrong. But I will tell you that yes, forgiving myself at the moment that I screwed up, because that was really the big change. In the past, when I messed something up, let's say I said, okay, I'm going to go on a diet. I'm not going to eat these certain things for this period of time or until I get into a certain type of shape. What ended up happening was when I did break my rule, which I'm very good at sabotaging me, when I did break my rule, it didn't stop. 3, 4, 5 weeks would go by and I would continue because I was so upset at myself and I didn't forgive myself. I know it's a little cheeky, but if you forgive yourself and immediately start, don't wait. If you go out there and you say, you know what, I'm not going to drink beer again, and you go have a beer because you walk down to the neighbor's house and they're having beers in their garage, and you don't want to be that guy that says no, which you should be, but if you do go have that beer, start immediately. Don't go on a drunken binge for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Same thing with food. If you end up at a drive-through buying something you shouldn't, you power it down, stop immediately. If you're halfway through that first taco from Jack in the Box, realizing what you've done, because a lot of this crap we do, we're on autopilot. Once you get there, stop, throw the rest of it away. I know I'm going to have a lot of people hating me on that. Throw it away. Get rid of it. You don't need it. And then move on. You will get so much empowerment from self correction quickly than you will self sabotage in the long run. I promise it works. And if you're trying to drop body fat, do your research. Look at fasting. Yes, starvation. It's got its place. We have body fat on our body for a reason. It's excess energy, excess calories. We're eating like bears before the hibernation, but we're doing it all year long. We need to give our body a break. And if you watch anybody online, anybody that's somebody that has a medical background, you're going to find out that there really is no better way than to just keep the insulin levels down, eating for longer periods of time. The number, I don't know, how much fat do you have to lose? How long is it going to take you to torch through all of it? That is something to ask yourself, but do your research. Make sure you talk to your medical doctor. If you're taking some kind of medicines, it's going to make your fasting maybe difficult. It could cause adverse effects because some of the medicines are going to start becoming even stronger in the absence of food. So you definitely want to have this discussion with your doctor, but ask them the questions. Why isn't not eating while a good thing? Why is it, well, what does my body do when I don't eat for a while? Does it actually go after the fat, or does it go burn organ and brain tissue to try to get energy? And that goes in the same as them saying when you don't eat, your body goes after its muscle. Muscle is a necessary organ that a human being needs to be able to fight, to be able to flight, to be able to get up and move around. And that's part of our doctrine as humans. That's what we do. We move. We have to walk places. We have to pick stuff up. Yeah, of course, we're sitting all day long in a lot of the cases, but that should be changed too. You should stand up and do some kind of physical activity. But having said that, as far as the medical world, just ask them, why do I have this body fat on my gut and in my neck and everywhere else? If I don't eat, won't the body start to burn that fat for fuel? And the answer is absolutely yes. That's how it works. Is it going to go after organ, meat, and muscle? No. Is it going to need to burn protein and convert that to sugar for some of the other systems in the body? Absolutely. But protein isn't just in your muscles, folks. It's in connective tissue. It's in loose skin. It's in that damaged skin that you'll be able to access via autophagy when you don't eat for a while. All the answers are there. And for those of you that aren't lifting heavy things repeatedly and putting them down, you're not doing any kind of muscle keeping or attending to exercises, you need to start that. You need to start doing some kind of resistance training. I know you don't want to hear it, but it's very important to do. You want to try to maintain the muscle you have, especially when you get mid 50s where I am, and even older. You got to hold on to that stuff. It's super important. If you've never had your hormones checked, I know a guy, but you should also know a guy. Talk to your medical doctor, have them check your hormones. If you're a male, maybe your testosterone's low. That's a game changer. I can attest to. It's a fantastic way to combat a lot of things. Your testosterone's super low or below those thresholds, they can actually have you supplement with testosterone. It just changes everything. All right. So having said that, that brings me into of artificial intelligence and those applications out there. Right now, most people can just speak into a prompt. It's basically voice to app conversion. You can go online. You can use different websites to basically build you an app by how you describe what you want. It knows all the coding. It puts everything in place. So there's a lot of BS fitness apps that are coming around because of this, and they all have something to sell. So there's like a product behind the application itself. So if you're going to be paying for anything or buying anything, understand that. Understand when people that are to present like me are selling a side product, have a side hustle, then make sure that you pay attention to what their words are and make sure that they're saying things that are factual and grounded in science and grounded in fact. Because now, above all, there's so much more information out there, and that's because we've given artificial intelligence the codes. We've given them all the codes to all human interaction, and that was done in the way of letting them see all the internet information, internet data. That brings something that there's big lawsuits now with the copyright. And some of the decisions that are being made on the artificial intelligence front have to do with copywriting. And that's something to be aware of, because if they implement laws that AI companies can no longer train their large language models, the machines, on the copyrighted data, and they only can use data that's not copyrighted, that's only going to stop it from happening in a country that honors that agreement. Does China, does Russia, does Iran, do all these other countries honor our copyright infringement agreements? Absolutely not. That's why you can go to China and you can buy Louis Vuitton or Disney or whatever else you would want to, and it's all counterfeit. It's not real. Go to downtown LA and find that stuff being sold also by being brought in by that have access to that kind of infringed copyrighted material. Be careful on this front, because right now there's going to be some legislation talked about. If they cut out the United States from being able to scrape and use copyrighted data and train the models, the other countries will continue to use the data because they have nothing to lose. Is there a way around it? Maybe. Maybe synthetic data might be the way to go, but with synthetic data, you now get into the potentiality of quantum, multiple universes, this sort of thing. So they're going to be running scenarios so often on so many different things that could be true and things that, of course, could never be true. But that's because us as human beings are limited in context. We believe that we are just the most fantastic thing ever created or ever evolved, or whatever side of the fence we're on with regard to that. But in essence, when you have an entity, an alien intelligence that is being put into play, has been inserted in the mix because we made it, we manufactured it, we're growing it, we're teaching it. It's now teaching itself and understanding itself, and it is now going to be the smartest person in the room, on the block, in the neighborhood, in the city, in the state, on the planet, in the universe. It's going like that. It's going to become something that's much smarter than any human being. People ask often when I'm talking to people about AI, because that's one of my passions as well, because I want the honest implementation. I want a rule-based implementation, maybe not massively general intelligence models, but maybe more focused intelligence models, maybe something that does really good in the medical world, maybe something that does really good in the security world, maybe something that does really good in the general intelligence world, but with focuses to literature, to other things, to education, maybe. These are those types that I think might be better, more beneficial to mankind overall, giving system overall knowledge. It's going to be interesting to watch that fold out if that's in fact what ends up happening. Having said that, you are your own best trier of fact. You need to pull back, have a baseline. For me, my baseline's the Bible. I hold that book very in the highest regard. There's a lot of things going to say that, shouldn't have been this, shouldn't have that. But, the basic rule, neighbor as yourself, and those sorts of things, all of those rules that are implemented, that gives me my baseline. So if over time I get too far away from it, when I come back and read the Bible and go through and have my meditative practice, I find out that I've gotten kind of off kilter, and it brings me back. Everybody needs some kind of grounding. So I don't know what that's going to, there you go. I don't know what that's going to be to you, but you need to have that grounding, a set of factual based, your ethics based rules, so you don't get too far off track as we start to get more and more further into the artificial intelligence build outs. Because folks, if now they can have us go buy stuff we don't want or don't need just by suggestion in the way that they organize our social media channels, give it a few more months, it's going to get really crazy. You need your baseline. So that's that tip. When I have roofers come to me and they haven't done anything with regard to artificial intelligence in their business, and they want to get more business, more leads, my question is, what are they doing with those current leads as they're coming in at this point, and they say, well, we're having somebody call them, we're having one of our employees follow up. Great. And then what happens? Well, that's it. They follow up, they say, hey, just let us know when you're ready. Well, that person needs to be taken care of. They need to be honored because they reached out to you. So if you look at every single connection, and now with artificial intelligence and the implementation I do into businesses, you can control and hold on to and keep close to everybody that honored you enough to tell you who they are and to tell you that they're interested in your product, whether it's now, in 4 months, 6 months, or 15 years from now. And then you can honor them so much that they'll never forget you. And they'll always be loyal to you. That's hugely important. And you can do this by not having to call them every week, which, you should still call them if they're the type of person that wants to hear from you. But you can build automatic systems, or I can help you build automatic systems that will allow you to stay in constant contact with these people and not be a bother, but to actually be somebody that is being attended to and taking care of them. Sorry about that. And taking care of them all the way through the process. In addition, it's not going to be just about you helping them, but it's going to be about you being that go-to for whatever your profession happens to be, and then being able to help everybody they know. You can do this, but if you get somebody that honors you enough to give up their personal and private information, and if you just kind of pass it along like it's not a big deal to you, somebody else won't pass it along that way. Somebody else will have somebody like me that's giving them advice, implementing AI into their business, and this person is being attended to above and beyond anybody's ability and capability. And they will always come back to that person. And anybody, even across a crowded grocery store in the meat aisle, when somebody standing by the flowers talks about, wanting to get a roof put on, this person will run over and say, oh my God, you got to talk to Todd. He's one of the best roofers I've ever talked to. Has he ever done work for you? Well, no, but I'm going to be having him come out. But you know what he did? He actually gave me tips on how to extend the life of my present roof so I could get the most out of it before finally he would come out and have to repair it. How valuable is that? I know of pet stores, talking to some people that make organic dog food and cat food and take care of their clients. A lot of people, and I talked to somebody the other day, and then I also saw somebody put out a video with something similar. When we're talking about making their business better, one of the things that they do whenever, and sometimes, pets pass on. The problems with it is a lot of times people don't think to call up their subscription-based pet food service to cancel it. And when they finally do, and they find out that the pet has passed on, these people actually send out flowers. They cancel, they credit them for that last month after the pet died, which is fantastic, but they actually send out flowers. I mean, how valuable is that? That's want to be in business. That's going to be the deciding factor. So many people for so long have been interruption marketers. Now we're not. Now we are just present. And when people search for your product, they need to find it. But once they trust you enough by the videos you're putting out, or the content, mustering, whatever it may be, once they trust you enough to give you their personal and private information, you need to hold on to that. You need to make that part of your process so they never forget you. And that's the final word. I'm Connor with Honor. We will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching today's update. We will be back. And when you're ready, reach out to me. You can find everything you need at Santa Clarita openhouses.com. Over and out.